We're still on our live coverage of the state funeral of the former President Muhammadu Buhari. And of course, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is leading the nation as we pay our last respect to the former President of Nigeria. Let's speak with the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council, Federal University of Transportation, Daura Katsina State, Wahab Owukoniro. It's good to have you join us at this time. It's a solemn moment in Nigeria. The University of Transportation, one of the institutions established by the former president. Talk to us about your own, one-on-one relationship with Buhari, not just as an indigene, but as someone who spent the later part of his life in Katsina.
Well, I got to know President Buhari way back in the 80s when I was working under the Ministry of Finance. And I've always found him to be a very sincere man, a very honest man, a man of integrity that loves to be among his people. And you could see some of what he has been able to accomplish among his people. One of it is the establishment of the university. I'm currently the Pro-Chancellor and the Chairman of the Governing Council. He brought the Air Force Base to Daura. And you can always see how the people have been feeling since they announced his death since yesterday. He was a man that Nigeria is going to miss greatly. He has a lot of sense of humor. He's a very humane man. He's full of humility. And if you come around his environment, you could see the humility in the man. You could see that he's not the man that believes in a materialistic thing. He's devoted his people, he devoted his time to his people, and most importantly to his religion. He was a very devoted Muslim, and you cannot take that away from him. And as I've said, one of his accomplishments is the University of Transportation. The university is still very young, and in his honor, we are promising to take the university to a greater height, to make it a university of international repute, where people from different parts of Africa will be coming over to study. And I also want to see this opportunity to appeal to Mr. President that we should try and make sure that we name the university after him. He was a good man, and Nigeria will be greatly missed.
All right. A University of Transportation is a specialized institution, one of a kind. Talk to us about the need that this university is meeting in the community and the society, such that it is being credited to the former president.
I didn't get your question. Repeat that question, please.
Yeah, I'm talking about the fact that this is a specialized institution, talking about University of Transportation. So I'm talking about the impact on the society. There must have been a need that the former president saw that made him push for the establishment of this institution, especially in Daura, Katsina State. So talk to us about that.
He discovered that transportation system in Nigeria is not well organized, especially the rail system. We are just rehabilitating and rebuilding our rail system in Nigeria. And when you are doing so, you need to start training people who will be able to man all these gauges, who will be able to repair most of these engines and the coaches. And that's the primary reason why that university was established. And not only that, we're also to oversee the training of the aviation staff and also the shipping industry too, both sea, air, and land. That is what the Transportation University was established, to train manpower who will eventually train people in different parts of Africa. As a matter of fact, we are beginning to have so many requests from different parts of Africa that they want to start sending their people to come and study in our university. But, we are still growing. This university is about 2-3 years old. And we're hoping that with time, we'll be able to achieve the kind of excellence, where our mission or our vision that we envisage.
From the pictures we're seeing live in Dara today, it shows that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, was really loved by his people. And this University of Transportation, one will say, was a way of, giving back to this community. Talk to us about how the university is mourning him, not just today, but beyond in terms of keeping his legacy.
You say, talk to you about how, repeat.
Right, I'm saying you should talk to us about how the university is mourning him, not just today, but in terms of keeping his legacy and what he stood for.
I have just said it, we are planning, we are appealing to Mr. President to make sure that they rename the university after him. And as I've said, all those people who we are trying to train, we want to make sure that we make them a student of excellence. And by the time they come out of that university, people can always say that, are you a product of that university that was established during the period of President Muhammadu Buhari? And as I've said, many people are beginning to apply into that university. And as the year progresses, we have been increasing in number, and we hope to maintain that level and standard. And hopefully, by the time you come back to that university in the next 1 year, you could have seen a lot of changes in honor and legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari.
All right, so it's pleasant to have heard you mention your desire for the university to be named after the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. But that might require, taking it a notch higher. So are you considering and open to liaising with perhaps representatives of that community in the National Assembly who could probably present this as a bill before the National Assembly to get the attention of Mr. President to have this done in honor of the former president?
As a matter of fact, there's a bill already in existence in the National Assembly. I think he has gone through the first reading and is going through the second reading. And all I'm just doing now is to appeal to the member of the National Assembly and to Mr. President to please help enough to fasten the process so that the process could be quickly completed and the president and the university will be named after him. The process is already on.
Right. Beyond just being, someone who was loved by his people, how would you assess his leadership, not just in, Dara or an indigene of that state? How would you assess his leadership, structure and administrative policies in unifying Nigeria as a president, not just from the northern part of Nigeria, but as someone who, stood for policies that were based on anti-corruption and also war against indiscipline?
Well, if you look at President Buhari's background, right from the time he took over the reign of power in December 1983, the first thing he did was to make sure that he brought all the Nigerians together, introduced war against indiscipline. He tried to instill discipline into Nigerians. And during this period, you could see that Nigerians became more organized and people began to see themselves more as Nigerians rather than sectionalizing themselves as Yoruba, Igbo, and what have you. He has always been a nationalist. And during the war, you could remember that he was one of our gallant officers that fought during the Biafran War. And he's one of the people that almost put their lives on the line for Nigeria. He has always been a nationalist, and when he was even the president in this last tenure, he did very well, implemented so many policies that brought Nigerians together. One of the major achievements of Mr. President was the area of infrastructure. The second Niger Bridge, he was able to build, despite the fact that most people in the East, they didn't vote for him. He still went ahead and did and completed the second Niger Bridge in the East and many other projects he did across the country. He showed that the man was a nationalist, he was a true Nigerian to the core, and he's somebody that Nigerians as a whole need to learn from. As a matter of fact, he did his best, although he might have his weaknesses and shortcomings that a lot of people might be talking about, but within his capacity, he tried his best. And Nigeria will greatly remember him for his accomplishment.
All right, we have some live pictures coming from, is that the airport now? We can see Governor Dapo Abiodun flanked by a number of people there. That is the airport in Katsina State, where dignitaries are gathered.
We also have the Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, and of course, I think we're also seeing the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu there, all ready and set to, pay their last respect. We also see the Governor of Kwara State, that is Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, also all waiting just to pay their last respect.
And we see the military men who are on ground for that salute, for that guard of honor, to welcome the former president, even as the nation at large mourn him. His body should arrive from the UK. All right, any moment now, and shortly we will get to see President Bola Tinubu, who is leading the nation of Nigeria in this state funeral, in paying respect to former President Muhammadu Buhari. And earlier we were speaking with the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of the Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State, Wahab Owo Koniro. Yes, we understand that President Bola Tinubu, as a mark of honor, a mark of respect, and has mentioned that he would personally be receiving the body of former President Muhammadu Buhari. It will be happening there at the airport. TVC News will be bringing you live pictures of that, and from there they would proceed to Katsina, to Daura, his hometown, where his body would be laid to rest. And just like Dupe mentioned earlier, the grave has been dug already, and we see his kinsmen who have all gathered, his kinsmen, all loved ones, well-wishers who have gathered to celebrate. And quite interesting, we see some flags there. Remember, the president had directed that all national flags should fly at half-mast across the country for this 7-day mourning period. And that's exactly what we see. You see that those flags are not at the usual position. That's in honor of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Of former President Muhammadu Buhari. It shows that, everything is ready to, receive the body. And it's a sign, it's very symbolic, it's a sign of respect from the President Bola Tinubu, as he will be receiving the body personally. You can't see the military men, all ready to, welcome the body. Everyone is set. But let's take a look at a story also focusing on the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Okay. More live pictures coming in from Katsina State there. We see some dignitaries, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, who's also chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, is right there. We also see the governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, who is also there. They're all gathered to pay their last respect. The governor, also of Edo State, is there. That's a Governor Monday Okpebholo, as well as the governor of Cross River State, Bassey Otu. They're all gathered in honor of the man, former President Muhammadu Buhari, who stands tall for simplicity, humility, and for the fight against corruption. Whether it's kicking against indiscipline, warring against corruption, he just always stood as that soldier, you know, who is fighting a cause and would go all out to ensure victory in whatever he lays his hands on.
You know, it was, you know, at a point difficult to, you know, merge those two personalities together, as someone who served as a former head of state and now also, you know, serving as a democratically elected president. He, you know, contested about 3 times before he, you know, ruled as president. And so it's a solemn moment for Nigerians. It's also a time for us to reflect on some of, you know, the policies of his administration, the achievement and, you know, some of the strides, especially in the economy, security, and also anti-corruption efforts. For those who were there at the time against the war against indiscipline, there was a level of orderliness. At that time, Nigerians were able to, you know, abide by rules as against what some of the things that we see today. But so, you know, he was a gallant soldier, a soldier all the time. And at a point, he was also able to, you know, coming back as a democratically elected president, was also able to give free room for, you know, for change. At that point, he also brought about the fact that change begins with me and begins with you. So irrespective of whatever anyone says, or, you know, the setbacks one would acknowledge of his administration at that point, we also know that he has done his bit as a president, as a former statesman in Nigeria. And if he did not do his job well, we will not be seeing the president leading the stage today to welcome the body.
You know, it's all in phases, stages, and all. So he has done his bit. That's it. He had 8 years. He did what he could do, you know, first as a military head of state, just like you mentioned, and later on as democratically elected president. And he did his bit, and now the world is gathering to bid him a final farewell. All right, so we want to quickly bring you a timeline now of, you know, the life and times of President Bola Tinubu. Well, I mean, former President Muhammadu Buhari, I beg your pardon. So let's quickly bring you that.
Regarded as one of the most transparent and honest Nigerian leaders in history, Muhammadu Buhari, as a military head of state and democratically elected president's story, is replete with remarkable events. Muhammadu Buhari was born on December 17, 1942 in Daura, Katsina State, where he began his public service in the military. He joined the Nigerian Army in 1962, trained in the UK, and fought in the Nigerian Civil War between 1967 and 1970. By 1975, Buhari was appointed military governor of the northeastern state. He later served as Federal Commissioner for Petroleum and became chairman of the NNPC in 1977. On December 31, 1983, Buhari staged a coup and overthrew President Shehu Shagari, but his regime was short-lived in August 1985, where he was removed in another coup by General Ibrahim Babangida and detained for nearly 3 years. In the 1990s, Buhari returned as chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund under General Sani Abacha overseeing infrastructure spending. General Muhammadu Buhari, as he was then called, returned into civilian politics by aspiring to be president in 2003 on the platform of ANPP, but lost to President Olusegun Obasanjo. He tried his luck again in 2007, still on the platform of ANPP, but lost to Umaru Yar'Adua of PDP. the undaunted and relentless Buhari floated a party with some Nigerians, Congress for Progressive Change, in 2011, and for the third consecutive time was defeated by Goodluck Jonathan. In 2015, Muhammadu Buhari ran on the major ticket known as All Progressive Congress (APC), where he defeated an incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan, making history as the first opposition candidate to win a Nigerian presidential election. Sworn in on May 29, 2015, President Buhari pledged to fight corruption, tackle insecurity, and revive the economy. In 2019, he secured a second term, defeating former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. While his administration invested in rail, roads, and agriculture, his frequent medical trips abroad and slow response to national crisis sparked criticism. On May 29, 2023, Buhari handed over to President Bola Tinubu and retired to Daura, ending a career that shaped Nigeria's political landscape.
His name is synonymous to integrity. One may argue if he doesn't know him, but for those of us who interacted with him physically and for several years, there is no doubt that his name is synonymous to integrity, because I lived with him for 25 years, and Almighty God is my witness. I have never doubted that integrity through my interaction with him, and this is indeed very important. And part of his legacy that I always remember is patriotism. He is indeed a Nigerian that is proud of Nigeria, and he treated Nigerians equally.
Yes, my colleagues are already in the air, about 20 of them, who are coming to commensurate with us and also joining us in this funeral prayer for the repose of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. It's really very overwhelming, and we are not taking one away because we know the caliber of person he is, and we know that President Muhammadu Buhari was a man of the people, both the masses, and he has extended the cordial relationship with the the presidents in across Africa and across the world. So we should expect more than this.
Now this is tomato mix. Even after adding water, you can still taste the tomato flavor.
With Tasty Tom tomato mix, you can cook any of your customers' favorite meals.
No color changing like traffic lights.
Tasty Tom will surely give you value for money because Tasty Tom tomato mix is thick. A little is enough to get your desired quantity of stew and soup. No unfair deal.
Tasty Tom makes me so happy. The taste is always on point.
And it doesn't color your meat or your chicken.
Because of Tasty Tom tomato mix, the taste of my food never changes. So my customers keep coming.
I don't compromise on the quality of my food, so I buy quality from the onset. Use Tasty Tom Enriched Tomato Mix.
Tasty Tom, for tasty meals good for you. Available in convenient sachets.
It's a live coverage of the state funeral for former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, whose body is being expected at the airport in Katsina State, from where it will be transported to Daura, his hometown, for burial. President Bola Tinubu is leading this national historic ceremony, and he's waiting to receive former President Buhari's body. Born December 1942, died July 2025. I guess the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman, Governing Council of the Federal University of Transportation, Daura in Katsina State, Wahaba Okoniro, is joining us now. So let's talk about the impact that the man, Muhammadu Buhari, made, the legacy he's left behind that you think the world should actually emulate.
Well, the legacy left behind are many. In terms of his own personality, the man left a legacy of integrity, a man of honor, a man who will tell you he's going to do this, and that is what he will try to do, unless the circumstances is beyond him. He lived a life of humility. By every standard, he was a very simple and down-to-earth man. That is why he enjoys a lot of followership among the downtrodden masses. When you are running your program a while ago, people said the man contested several times, and each time he contested, he was able to garner 12 million votes consistently. How many people could be able to do that without throwing any money around? It shows that people loved him. He was able to connect with the downtrodden masses, the Talakawas. And if anybody can emulate that, regardless of whatever position or the height you have reached in life, try to identify with the people. Such person can never, never be forgotten. People will continue to remember you. The masses, especially who never thought they had a chance, looking at you alone and the way of your life, your lifestyle alone will give them hope. That alone is another form of legacy for the young ones to emulate. So for me, I done my heart for late President Muhammadu Buhari. People should emulate his integrity, his sincerity, and his devoted, way that he practiced his religion, Islam. I was listening to a video a while ago by the chief imam of, whether it was former chief imam of the president, Mufti from Saudi Arabia. He spoke glowingly well of late President Buhari. I never knew that the man was that close to him. And he said he can even vouch for him, that the man was a sincere man, that even after his death, he can still vouch for him. If such person to say that about him, I mean, the man has lived a very useful life.
It's good to hear you talk about your personal experience with him and sharing about what you believe the world can actually learn from the man, Muhammadu Buhari. Thank you very much. Wahab Owokoniro is the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Federal Governing Council of the Federal University of Transportation in Daura, Katsina State. Thank you again for sharing with us on TVC News.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me on your show.
All right, as we continue our live coverage of the state funeral for former President Muhammadu Buhari, we still have our State House correspondent in Abuja, and here in the studio, we have the head of news operations at TVC News, veteran journalist. He's been a reporter, has been a correspondent covering politics and all things around that over time. He's Uzonna Onoye. Was that citation too heavy?
I was wondering who you